A few weeks back, I was hitting leg day, and I'm on the calf machine. I'm doing calf races, whatever, minding my business. And then I want to say he's a friend for the sake of simplicity, but somebody who I've previously met in the gym comes up to me, or he's working out on the machine next to me, and he taps me on the shoulder and says, "You see that couple over there?" And I look over there, and sure enough, I see this couple from my high school being like, all, I mean, you know how high school couples are. They're affectionate and all like kissing and hugging in public. They don't give a shit. And I tell him, yeah, I do. I see them. What about them? And then he goes, they're always on some bullshit. They're always doing some weird shit. They're always being, these high school couples, man, they're always being weird. And I think to myself, like, what was the point of telling me that? What was the point of thinking that? Like, maybe we would not do that. Like, if I got into a relationship, I wouldn't be doing fucking making out on the tricep push down machine. But at the same time, as long as they're not hurting me, they're not hurting anybody else, they're not doing anything that's bad, then, like, I don't really give a shit. They can be who they want to be. Doesn't affect me. It doesn't. If that's what makes them happy and fulfilled, by all means, go ahead and do it. And so I turn to him and I ask, why are you being judgmental? Why do you need to judge them? And then he looks at me kind of like with a blank stare for a second and goes, oh no, I'm not judging. I'm just observing. I'm just looking. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people say this to me, where they're like, oh yeah, I'm not making judgments. I'm not judging this person. I'm observing them. And I'm telling you of my observations. Just all that because they cannot admit that it's gossip, that what they're doing is judgment, because they know on a subconscious level that what they're doing is wrong. So judgment, like in my experience, many people have had this misunderstanding of judgment and observation. I don't believe that all people who say they're observing are just liars who are trying to hide their evil selves. What I think is that many people truly believe that what they're doing is observation, but they're not. They're judging, and they just don't know it. So in this video, I want to define what observation and judgment are and how they differ. Starting with observation. Observation is simply when you see things for what they are and you apply no labels to the person. And in fact, observation includes that you look inward instead of outward. So when somebody's being annoying, for example, they're being annoying, they're irritating you, they're bothering you in some way, or they're bullying other people, or they're lying about something. Instead of saying or thinking that this person is a liar, because remember, judgment occurs in the mind as well. Instead of thinking, oh, this person's a liar, this person's this person's disgusting, they're annoying, I hate this person. Instead of having those kinds of thoughts, we can go to observation and say, okay, I find this action disagreeable. I think that what he's doing is wrong. What can I do to solve it? How can I change the situation so that people are not being affected, so that people are not being annoyed, not being harmed? And that is if you consider it a bad thing. Many times when people do things that we find annoying, it's not that what they're doing is a problem, but it's that we are just irritating ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to become irritated. Do you understand that? You're the source of your own irritation. When you get mad, it's not the other person making you mad. It's you deciding to be angry with them, which, of course, inevitably leads to you getting even more angry when they don't listen to you, when they don't pay attention to you, when they're not the person who you want them to be. Because you can't control them. You can't control their people. You can't control their behavior. So wanting people to be a certain way and thinking that people are annoying if they don't fit your, like, imagined archetype of them, of what an ideal human should be like, you're going to be dissatisfied. You're going to be annoyed. Of course, you're going to feel negative emotions and think negative thoughts. So Observation is simply looking at things for what they are and not applying any terms or labels to the individual. 9 times out of 10, the individual is not at fault for being the way they are. They've been raised around friends and a group that has supported their actions, that has taught them to be the way they are currently. They've also had their own experiences, just like you. They're just as complex as you. So to blame somebody for who they are, to label them as one specific, like one-dimensional trait, to treat them as a one-dimensional being is incorrect. That would be inaccurate and unfair to them and to yourself. You sacrifice your own mental well-being when you have judgmental thoughts. You sacrifice your own happiness, your own fulfillment when you are so deeply affected by other people's behavior. Instead, wouldn't it just be so much easier to guide yourself and yourself alone, and then acting where you can to fix a situation, to remedy a problem, instead of making other people the crux of your happiness? Moving on, judgment is when you see somebody's behavior or actions and you allow that to define them as a human. So many times when we judge, we're not, even if we don't directly think or say the words, this person is like this, we affirm that type of belief and that type of mindset when we apply labels to people. When we say, oh, why is he walking like that? Why is he doing this? He's talking so weird. He's being so weird. We affirm that identity of them in our own minds. And that makes it harder to understand them as a human. Because over time, we continue to judge, we continue to make comments about them, and we only affirm this belief further that they are this one trait. And it becomes difficult to see anything outside of that. How many times have you truly have you judged somebody for a long time, right? Or somebody who is somebody who you've hated for a long time? Think about how you've reduced that person's identity to simply being a negative trait. Many times, that's what we do. We judge, we have a bad experience with somebody annoys us, somebody does something bad to us, and then we've reduced that human to one characteristic, a one-dimensional human. And this doesn't just sacrifice our own understanding of people, but, it sacrifices our own well-being. Because judging comes from being affected, being genuinely affected by somebody else's actions. If you are not affected or moved at all by somebody else's behavior, regardless of whether or not it annoys you, then you have no reason to judge them, because you haven't been hurt. You don't have that defense mechanism of labeling them things to feel better about yourself. If you don't feel embarrassment for their actions, if you don't feel directly harmed or targeted, then you won't naturally just go judge this person for being the way they are. It's only when you're angry, it's only when you're annoyed, when you want to get the approval of your friends. It's only when you have emotion and desire that you start to judge others. It's only when you feel that that yearning for something, for that instant gratification of approval, of recognition, of making people laugh, of satisfying, of quelling your own anger, that you start to make comments about others and you start to say, this person is that, this person is this. So that is the difference between observation and judgment. Judgment treats humans as things. Observation understands that no human is at fault, no matter how evil they are, no matter what bad things they do. They are not like that just because they are like that. They have had their own experiences. They come from a different place. And so their actions are not things that occur in a vacuum. They're not people who exist in a vacuum, but they are the sum of their experiences, of their beliefs, of what they've been taught by other people. It's our job as people who have knowledge of philosophy, who have knowledge of self-improvement, to understand that fact and to start observing and stop judging. To make observation a habit, you need to journal frequently. In the morning, you journal. You journal about stoicism, you journal about self-control, you journal about emotions, how fast they come and go. You journal about people, how everybody's human, everything's one. Every morning, every night, twice a day, in the morning and night, does not matter. The point is you need to journal. Because what journaling does is it integrates knowledge into the subconscious. When you repeat a thought, think of how many things that are truly like your beliefs, things that you truly believe in, that you feel are basically a part of you. It might be your religion, it might be your belief about love, it might be your belief about who knows what it may be. The point is, if you take time to examine this belief, you will find that it's not just something that you thought of one day and then let go, but it's something that you've continuously affirmed and thought of throughout the course of many months, possibly years. This is especially true for religion. If you feel attached to Christianity to the point where it's like a part of you, you've been to church thousands of times by now. You've been to church so many times. You've spoken to priests. You've read the Bible possibly multiple times. You are very well tuned, I should say, with this religion. You've repeated the practice so many times that being a Christian is now just a part of you. It's a habit. When you go out in your day, you're thinking about God, about Christianity. You're thinking about what you can do to become closer to God. In the same way, if we journal, if we repeat this activity, if we repeat the knowledge to ourselves, if every day we set the intention by journaling to be a better person, to observe instead of judge, if we set the intention to be stoic and control our emotions instead of being hedonistic and just indulging, over time, it will simply become a habitual thing that we're always thinking of. I mentioned this in my last video. I wake up every day, and from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to bed, I'm always thinking and getting reminded about stoicism all the time. I'm always thinking, oh, I should do this because that's going to make me more disciplined and that aligns with my philosophy. Or no, I should not do that because I want to keep my freedom to abstain. I want to keep being able to resist desires. I want to follow the path instead of getting off track, instead of being pulled by my desires. All the time I'm being reminded of my philosophy because I get up and I journal. I get up, I record these videos, I journal, I go live my life, I come back and then I journal before I go to bed. I read throughout the day stoicism. So of course, I'm going to be living my life always reminded of that philosophy, because throughout the day of every day of my life, I'm repeating the knowledge to myself. There was a period of time where I actually stopped reading as much stoicism and journaling, and as soon as I stopped, within like a week, the quality of my life dropped. I became more hedonistic, I became more indulgent. I was not following my philosophy as strictly. I instantly lost like productivity and progress simply by not journaling and not integrating the belief into my mind. And even then, I still kept getting the reminders in my head, which were like, be stoic, be disciplined, don't listen to your desires, do what you have to do, follow the path. I would always get those reminders even when I stopped journaling for like a month. So journaling is one of the most important things that I've ever done. It's one of the most important practices in all of self-improvement, I believe. And thus, if you want to rewire your brain, if you want to make observation a habit, you need to journal. And so for your actionable step, simply get a piece of paper or a little notebook, whatever you can carry with you throughout the day, and then write a page or two about observation, or simply write a single statement. Observation over judgment, something like that. And then carry this paper with you throughout the day and frequently look at it. Just keep looking back at this paper, reading the statement, keep reminding yourself of observation. Write down observation. At the end of the day, write more than a page or two, write like 3 pages about judgment and observation. And you don't have to write this much every single day. You'll be fine with just 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes at night. But the point of this practice, the point of this step, is simply to begin integrating the knowledge. It's to begin the change of habit, just to go from judgment to observation. And listen, it's not easy, because I myself catch myself having judgmental thoughts. But the point is not to completely eradicate these thoughts within a week. It's to simply gain control over them. When you begin Stoicism, nobody's expecting you to completely erase your desire for food, or to completely erase your desire for approval, or to completely erase your anxiety. Nobody's expecting you to do that. But what we are expecting you to do is to gain control over these things, to feel the desire of running away when you're scared, to feel the desire to eat more even when you don't need it, and to still ignore it and follow logic. That's going to be all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, what worked for you. Please, if you have any more video ideas, let me know in the comments. You can also check out my Medium page, which I post like political and philosophical articles every week. So if you're interested in that, please check that out. And yeah, have a good day, guys.